A dynamic sharpshooter, a post player. Now we just need you to be the point guards. Big East Shootaround right here on Fox Sports Go, the Big East Twitter and Facebook pages. Jay Alter, John Fanseth, the Big East, 3 top 15 teams.
It's incredible, and Villanova showing why they're the #1 team in the country last night. That was a fun watch, just took care of business against Temple. And then you look at Xavier and Seton Hall getting into the top 15 this week, and those schools have really found form in non-conference play.
No question about it. Villanova, the #1 team in the country, making a statement last night in their first test as the top team in the nation and running Temple out of the building behind Jalen Brunson and Omari Spellman.
You say running Temple. John, you ready to run the fast break in the fastest 2 minutes?
Let's do it. We're coming in hot here. Big East Hoops, the best of the last week. The fastest 2 minutes around the conference. We start at Temple.
Showing off the handles. I'll just take this one myself. Ooh, Jalen Brunson.
Omari Spellman.
And really, Villanova beats you in so many different ways. Spellman, such a huge contributor to this Villanova team.
Marcus Howard just getting buckets. Big East Player of the Week. This one from Milwaukee. And then Rowdy Rousey keeping the party going.
Nothing like kicking your in-state rival to the curb. This was a performance and a half. Best I've seen Marquette look all season. That one, if that's from Milwaukee, then yeah, that's from Omaha.
Crumple the crumb cake in holiday fashion. And then from behind,
some
it's
stuffing.
Ballack.
Left over.
This is an emphatic block from behind. Wow. Holy cow. Look out your rear view mirror, and then Marcus Foster, and he wants the crowd to get involved.
Big-time performance from a big-time player. Meanwhile, Xavier continues to roll. J.P. McCura.
Yep, and you're not seeing a repeat here. You're just seeing them make different three-pointers. It's not like it's the same video, folks. This is the formula for Xavier. Blew it, you won't have a blue Christmas in Cincinnati. And Money McCura, bank open on Saturday. This Dino dime.
I'll tell you, Seton Hall just ran away with this game.
Uh-oh, Jay, I'm going to give you this one.
Windmill
At Walsh. Miles Kale.
Freshman. That's my reaction. That's my reaction. Another look. Throw it down, young fella.
It was reading day on the campus of Seton Hall. Those students, though, what they were reading, Miles Kale's big time.
Alley-oop.
McCollum. And then DePaul. Joe Hannell. Great to see a guy off the bench get in there and slam with 2 hands. And here we go.
Slams everywhere in the Big East. Georgetown putting the exclamation point on an undefeated start to their season. One of 6 teams left in the nation without a loss.
And Jesse Govan leading the Big East in rebounding. He'll be on the show in a little bit. Patrick Ewing as well coming up on Shootaround. We want to also ask you in show, if the season ended today, who would be your player of the year? We will be discussing, so feel free to leave a comment on Facebook.
Send them in.
Or on Twitter. And what game are you looking forward to the most this weekend? Send those comments in. Your player of the year thus far, what game you're looking forward to, we'll feature it on the show. Let's get to our fast break.
Let's do it. Chauncey Billups, a little family connection in the Big East, giving some love on Twitter. His cousin, Ronnie Arrell, lighting it up for the Blue Jays.
Ronnie is an X-Factor guy for the Jays. He can do it all, from hammer time inside. He was the point guard for them last year in the Big East tournament. They could have maybe... Could you imagine Harrell off the wing, Chauncey Billups running the point in the Garden last year?
Be honest. Did you know they were related?
I didn't, and I texted
know.
Rob Anderson, the Creighton SID,
that.
earlier this week. I said, well, they're related, and he goes, yeah, we wanted to have Chauncey play for us in the Big East Championship game last March.
Yeah, he would have helped.
He would have helped. He might have helped him pass Villanova. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, it is Christmas time.
Well, it's Christmas time everywhere, not just Cincinnati.
Right, but it's Chris Mack time. Let's roll it.
Oh, Chris Mack tree. Oh, Chris Mack tree.
Oh, Chris Mack tree.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Chris Mack tree.
Please. Chris Mack, please take that down immediately.
I can guarantee you there aren't any Nick Cronin trees.
Wait. I'm looking at the tree.
Chris Mack tree.
The picture of Mack is bigger than the tree.
Yeah,
It's
I like
incredible.
that.
These fans
I like
out in
that.
Cincinnati, they love their Xavier Musketeers. Really cool.
So do the Johnny's alums, a couple of St. John's legends out and about at the Staples Center on Friday night.
Mark Jackson, Meta World Peace, throwback.
Oh, man, that's a great
Went
picture.
by the name Ron Artest back then.
Yep. And they just announced, St. John's just announced today that Mark Jackson Bobblehead Day is going to be on February 28th.
We can add another one to our Shootaround studio collection.
That's great. Mark doing a great job for ABC on TV, and he's at the Staples Center. Good to see these guys get out to a game.
They love the Johnnies.
Yeah.
Meta World Peace has actually been pretty outspoken about how he wants his program to get back to where he thinks they belong, and Chris Mullen on the right track so far in this Big East basketball season.
And along with Big East hoops, if you've been paying attention to the NBA this week, there's been a guy lighting it up, and really throughout the season now.
Right.
While the Chicago Bulls are in a down year, the door is open for someone to step up. Chris Dunn has done just that.
Two-time Big East Player of the Year, and this is definitely the best season he's had in the NBA so far. Leading scorer for the Bulls right now, doing it all, and this week in particular, just phenomenal from the point guard.
Gotta love that, and he was coming up clutch for them time and again. We know that spot-up jumper all too much, and here's real, just clutch shot-making time and again.
Down the stretch too. Dunn was the one taking the shots, hit the game winner against the Jazz, and really rounding out the entire box score.
Yeah, doing it all. And for the Bulls' future, Chris Dunn looks to be a part of it. And he is a guy that they're counting on to not only get buckets, but you see the 4 steals. He was a great defender at the college level for Providence, and you're seeing him be a really good on-ball defender now.
Well, there's so much to be excited about around the conference right now. We started the show talking about Villanova at 1 and Xavier and Seton Hall in the top 15 too, but also, it's the guys that continue to make a name for the conference at the next level that just speaks to the growth that we've seen in the league.
And in the holiday spirit, Chris Dunn also helping out the local Chicago community this week. This is really, really cool, as they were shopping and it was on Chris Dunn's dime.
Awesome. And he's new to the city. This is how you gain fans. This is how you make a name for yourself beyond the game of basketball. Really cool gesture. And a lot of people showed up for him.
Yeah, a lot of kids and local folks in the Chicago community that might be underprivileged and whatnot. And Chris helping them out and signing autographs as well. You love to see that because he's a guy who had a tough upbringing. Ed Cooley and him had a real common bond. And now, as a professional basketball player, he's paying it forward.
And that's exactly what we love to see from all our players in the conference. And this season in particular, the Christmas season where you can get into the spirit and do so much to help others. Awesome job by Chris Dunn to pave the way.
We've got Patrick Ewing coming up. The Georgetown head coach has his Hoyas as one of just 6 unbeaten teams left in America. Send us who your player of the year in the Big East would be thus far.
We're going to share ours, right? A little later.
That's right. That's right. But before we get to the Patrick Ewing interview, that rivalry was renewed, one of the best in college basketball, and we're throwing it back to 1984. You know the one.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden in New York. It is a complete sellout. The last few tickets went this morning for the Big East Final. It's Syracuse and Georgetown, the top 2 teams in the conference.
Pearl, can he drive the way he did yesterday against Villanova? He takes an outside shot and cans it.
That'll loosen up Michael Jackson.
We were 44 last night. Ewing takes a jumper. He cans his first. So there you go, the 2 candidates for tournament MVP. Wingate immediately double-team baseline. Gets it off for Ewing, working Addison. 2!
Send it in, Patrick.
And the Orange can take the lead. Here goes the Pearl. Over to Currens! Syracuse is up by 4. They may try to hold it a bit. Remember what he did against St. John's? Ewing in traffic. Hits it and he's fouled. What a play.
Great effort. A little celebration by the Georgetown people. Patrick Ewing. And now a round of applause for Patrick Ewing. Sensational night.
Well-deserved standing ovation for the tournament MVP, Patrick Ewing. All smiles with his coach, arm in arm.
When you think of college basketball's best rivalries, the rich tradition of the Georgetown Hoyas and the Syracuse Orange comes to mind. And now, a familiar face to that rivalry is back as the head coach of the Hoyas. Patrick Ewing is our guest. Coach, you're now going up against the same guy that was the coach of the Orange when you were playing. What do you think Saturday is going to be like against Jim Boeheim?
It's I think it's going to be great. Jim Boeheim is an outstanding coach. It's like you said, he was a coach when I was playing. He's an intense coach. He wants to win just like we want to win. So it's going to be an interesting game.
What's been behind this 8-0 start to the season?
The guys have been doing an outstanding job. We schedule right. The guys have been playing well. They have been taken to everything that I've been putting in. Their confidence is up. We're playing Syracuse at the right time.
Any favorite stories that come to mind about this rich rivalry when you were playing against the Orange?
I don't know about favorite, but we've had a lot of battles. I can remember going down there in Orange, flying and hitting the backboard when I'm shooting a free throw. I can remember the scuffles that we've been into, myself and Pearl, or Michael Graham, and I don't even remember who it was, getting into a little altercation.
Right.
I can remember Boeheim in the press conference throwing a chair. It's been a heated rivalry. I think it was a great something great for the Big East. Two great programs, two great university. Battling against each other, and I think that it's great that we continue we're continuing the tradition of playing against each other.
Have you told your team those stories at all this week?
No, we haven't. We've just been concentrating on trying to get better, trying to get ready for them. Syracuse is a very good team. They're one of the tallest team in the nation. And like I said, they're very well coached. Coach Boeheim is, he has, just like myself or anyone who plays this game, a strong will to win. And, we're going to have to play at our best to beat that ball club.
And when you're playing at your best in these first 8 games of the season, what have you noticed most that you need to take into this matchup with Syracuse that would say you're playing your best basketball?
Well, at the end of the day, we got to win. At the end of the day, the score has got to be Georgetown is up either by 1 or by 2 or by whatever. But Jesse's going to have a big game for us. Marcus Derrickson is going to have a big game for us, and then we're going to have to hit perimeter shots and get easy basket. Their zone, they have like I said, they're a long, athletic team, and they play zone primarily their entire game. So we're going to have to be able to get stops and run on them, and then figure out a way how to score against that zone.
Coach, there's no doubt about this. This is your biggest test yet, and look, the crowd will be into this one for sure. It's going to provide a big atmosphere. How do you balance the big game nature of this one while still having your team composed out there?
We have to be composed. I think that, even though this is my first year coaching, I think that I've been in enough big games to myself to be composed. And that's something that I'm going to try to, relate to my team. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready. And I think Syracuse will be the same. And, at the end of the day, the team that makes the fewest mistakes is the team that's going to win.
What kind of an opportunity is this for your group?
Well, it's our first test. We've had tests, within these 8 games. We've had some great tests, but this is going to be the biggest test and against one of our longtime rival. Coach
Ewing, I think you could post up Jim Boeheim. What do you think?
Well, that's an easy post up. He's like about 5-6 inches shorter than I am.
I like that, Coach. Good luck on Saturday. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Throughout history, we done developed greatness. a record-breaking moments that we set through ages to never be replicated in Madison Square. We got a lot of our recognition from the Big East. We're making magic's our tradition. I was born to be victorious. Most definitely victorious.
The Big East Tournament at Madison Square Garden. Get tickets now.
Gives me chills every time you look at the Garden in March. It's going to be here before we know it. Conference play just 2 weeks away. And we wanted to talk about players of the year so far. So far, non-conference play. We know conference play will change things, but let's take a look at the big board at the altar. John, starting with you, who are your player of the year frontrunners?
Well, I look at a couple of wings that have been fantastic in their own right. Mikal Bridges for Villanova, Desi Rodriguez for Seton Hall, and Trayvon Blewett for Xavier. They drive the cars for their prospective teams, and I look at Mikal Bridges. His offensive game has taken the next step, Jay. That's what people were waiting for. This is why this guy has lottery pick potential, because now he can shoot over just about anybody. His wingspan's fantastic. Desi Rodriguez has really become a much more efficient scorer.
Yes.
And that's why I love what he's done with his game. We always knew he was explosive, but now this is a guy, he's taken it seriously. He's matured, and he's making the right decisions. And Trayvon Blewett, we knew when he came back, he made Xavier the Final Four contender that they are. He does everything for them.
And here's the deal. I think coming into the year, we thought the front runners would be someone from Villanova and somebody from Seton Hall, but it would be Jalen Brunson and Angel Delgado. You've gone with Bridges and Rodriguez because, namely, those two have had a really strong start for their respective schools.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about this here. The one thing I'd like to bring up is that Villanova can beat you in so many ways. Mikal Bridges has been their best player. In my mind, though, the guy that you have, and let's take a look at yours, is the player that is most valuable for Villanova. They can't get going without their point guard. They're so oriented in point guard play. That's why Jalen Brunson's on your board.
Before I break down my board, let's get some interaction. Send in your comments. Who is in your top three? Who is your player of the year frontrunner right now as we near conference play? You mentioned it. You got to have a Villanova player. Wildcats, #1 team in the country. You went with Bridges. I'll tell you why I like Brunson.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Brunson makes Mikal Bridges the player he is. Jalen Brunson is really the thing that makes this Villanova team tick, why they're the #1 team in the country. He does the little things. And by the way, he's still scoring more than 17 points per game. Brunson's my guy. I think the fans are going to agree with me on that one. I agree with you on Blewett. What he's done with the Musketeers, absolutely in the top three when it comes to player of the year. And now, bear with me on this one. My dark horse candidate, Shamori Pons, continues to put up incredible numbers for St. John's. This Red Storm team is going to surprise people in conference play. I believe they're a top 5 team in this conference. And if they finish in the top 5, it's because of #2. Shamori Pons. He's like the Jalen Brunson for the Red Storm. He makes them tick. When he's on, this team is playing at a high level. I think he deserves consideration.
The fact is, the pool is so deep of contenders for this award. We just brought up multiple Villanova players because it's so scary to think. They just ran Temple out of the building last night behind Brunson and Spellman, just over a week after they took down the 12th-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs behind Mikal Bridges. That's 3 players right there. Villanova may have multiple All-Americans. Seton Hall, you thought Delgado, you just said it. It's Ben Rodriguez. That's not to say Delgado's not having a great season. It just says a lot about how deep it is.
Well, look how well Jalen Brunson played last night for the Wildcats, and I think he's that consistency for this team, why they're #1 in the country, and why they are the favorites in this conference. It's because of Jalen Brunson. It all starts with the point guard.
Let's take a look at fan submissions here. This is what we really care about.
Blewett,
most.
we both had him in our top 3. A couple of Blewett's. Pons, I'm getting some love. Joey, we love it. Keelan Martin, a name we didn't have, shows the depth of this conference. A couple more Brunsons coming in.
Keelan Martin has really been fantastic for Butler. He's taken his game the next level as well, and that's a guy that has to lead the way. When they lost Andrew Schrabas after last season, you got to have that leadership, and Butler's had it. We just had someone ask.
Yeah, late submission. What about the Marquette love for the Golden Eagles? And I'll tell you, I really like Marcus Howard. I don't know if he's player of the year quality, but he's a first or second teamer in this conference if he continues to play the way he has.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He's a top 10 player in this conference. he has not had any drop-off. And with his role being increased and going into your sophomore year where people know more about you, that says a lot, folks. No sophomore slump.
Keelan Martin, a name we didn't have, absolutely in the conversation.
No doubt. And I just brought it up with the leadership that Butler lost in Shrabas. And they didn't really have any solidified answer as to what they would be heading into this year. We knew that Keelan Martin was a star, Jay, but now I've seen him. When they need a bucket, Keelan Martin's a flat-out bucket getter. And another guy that we're forgetting about, two guys. You bring up Marquette. How about Creighton? Marcus Foster and Kyrie Thomas are in contention. We all know when conference play begins, teams evolve.
Right.
And so contenders are going to continue to rise.
It's so early in this season, but we love the interaction. Thanks for sharing who you think the Big East Player of the Year frontrunners are. We'll see how the list holds up.
And I think that this is the type of race where maybe if you put one of these players in a different conference, they might win the accolade. Remember, folks, Villanova is the #1 team in the country. And you know, to the victor goes a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. What's the saying? To the victor goes
the spoils.
Thank you. So that's what it is for Villanova. And they may already have the freshman of the year. Omari Spellman last night. That's a freshman?
Phenomenal. Big-time player.
What do we got?
All right, Jay Bilas and John Fanta going one-on-one at the Garden.
Great to be joined by the Billustrator, Jay Bilas from ESPN. And Jay, you had Marquette at the Maui Invitational. You spoke of the Big East depth. Why exactly is it such a deep league?
Well, there are a bunch of good teams in the Big East, as you know, and from top to bottom, it's not the suggestion that somehow the Big East at the top is better than the ACC or better than the Big 12 or anything like that, although it's competitive. Top to bottom, through the middle of the league and down at the bottom of the league, I don't think you're going to find a league that has that kind of depth and that kind of quality depth of teams. The middle of the league and the bottom of the league have all improved. They've all improved. And you got terrific coaches, terrific players. Those are going to be harder games for the opponent to win, home and away. They're going to be closer games. They're going to be more overtime games. It's going to be a fist fight for every inch of turf. At the top of the league, is this the year that Xavier or Seton Hall can unseat Villanova? I don't know. Villanova's awfully good. They've got 6 that I would put up against anybody in the country. The development of their 7th and 8th guy, and maybe even a 9th, is going to be the determining factor whether they're a national championship team. There's nobody they cannot beat out there. But when you look at over the course of the season, there are going to be some ups and downs here and there. But Villanova, I see as the best team, but Xavier's really good. Seton Hall's older. And the thing I like about Kevin Willard's team is, whether it's Angel Delgado, Desi Rodriguez, Kadeem Carrington, all these guys, they've made a steady climb up, and they're still really hungry. And now they know what it takes, and they're hungry. And that's a pretty darn good combination. That win that they had on the road at Louisville was really impressive. And that's a game I think they probably would have lost last year or the year before. But those are games they're winning now, and that's a huge step forward. And when you can win a game like that on the road against a top 25 team, you're legit. And you're one that I know can appreciate the basketball pure conference that is now the Big East. How have they been able to make it work in the landscape in year 5 of their realignment? Just basketball is a big brand for all the different teams that are in the league, and when you hear their names, you think of their basketball success, and that's true of schools that play football too. But I think it's especially true of the schools in the Big East, and they've got their history and tradition rich. And so guys my age, they can think back a long ways, and guys Raftery's age back, they can think back to when everything was on radio, and it's how great is that for him? We've got Bill now on Fox Sports. Any message to your colleague? Pick up a check. Would it kill you to pick up a check? There it is. Jay Bilas.
Awesome.
So cool to see Bill Raftery this week, the governor of Big East basketball, get inducted to the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
He didn't have to pick up a check that night.
Congratulations, Coach. We're so happy for you, and he is a role model for both of us, a guy that continually exemplifies passion and a great gift to sports broadcasting.
And Luke Carnesecca picking up the Naismith honor this week. Big ups to Louie. A legend when you talk about Coach Carnesecca when it pertains to Big East basketball and its history.
Coach Carnesecca went to the Naismith Hall of Fame back in the 90s, but now the outstanding contributor to basketball on the men's side, and he will be honored later this year. Congrats to Coach Carnesecca, an outstanding contributor. And we've got a big weekend on deck.
We do. The two of us hopping in the Go van and heading down to D.C. Georgetown, Syracuse, a rivalry renewed. We've got a pregame show from Capital One, 11:30. You can catch it right here on all our platforms.
That's right, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, leading into a big day as the Butler Bulldogs. They'll also be on Fox. Georgetown's on CBS, and the Bulldogs in the Crossroads Classic taking on Purdue. We've got sound from Paul Jorgensen and Jesse Govan as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Let's kick it out to these guys and join us Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, next Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, our holiday special.
I'm pumped up.
Let's roll it with this sound from these guys.
What is the mood like in practice headed into a game like Syracuse, the history, the rivalry at stake?
Oh yeah, we're all excited. I think Georgetown Syracuse is definitely like a top 3 college basketball rivalry. Maybe Duke, UNC, Kentucky, Louisville, and then I think it's Georgetown Syracuse right up there at the top. And the guys are really excited, especially the guys in my class. The junior class hasn't lost to them yet. We're 2-0 against them. So we're trying to make it 3-0 on Saturday and trying to get the freshmen ready. And it's going to be a great environment. We're going to try and walk out of there with a win.
Harken back to that win over Ohio State. Was that the one that you look back to now in non-conference play that got you springing forward?
Yeah, you could say that. I also think you could talk about the Portland State game was big for us too. They were a very good team as well. But the Ohio State emotionally was very big for us. That win was kind of something to spring us forward, like you said. So yeah, I think both of those games have been good to get us going forward, and we're starting to feel comfortable and we're starting to play Butler basketball.